Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is going to be my May wrap up because today is May 31st, not when I upload this, but it is right now, and I must say I've had a pretty good month. Not as successful as April was, not gonna lie, but that was because in April I had the Owl's Magical Readathon, which was incredible, and I got to read 12 books. And this month I participated in Bingoathon a couple of weeks ago, and I read 3 books that week for Bingoathon. It was just a week-long event run by Ola Quinn, and that was really fun. The only other things that happened to me was that it was my birthday at the start of the month, and that was pretty much it. I mean, if you want to find out what else has been going on, you can check out my reading vlogs. I decided to start them this month. And I also want to give a huge thank you to everybody who's subscribed to me this month. I have managed to get 300 new subscribers this month alone, and I am so super thankful for you guys. I have to give major, what's the, yeah, credit, that's the word. I have to give major credit to Becca and the Books and Cody's Book Corner, because without them, honestly, like, without them, it wouldn't have been such a fantastic month for me. And yeah, if you are watching this video because you found me out on one of their channels, then do let me know, because they are 2 incredible, amazing women, and I'm so super happy and thankful and grateful and all of the fulls. So thank you so much. And yeah, thank you for checking out this video. So I think I should start into it, because this could end up being a very long video. Now, if you didn't already know, which you probably do by now, sorry for repeating myself, but before my TBRs, I actually use Becca's Bookopoly to craft my TBR for the month. Definitely check out her videos below. They are the best Bookopoly videos on the market, and I was so inspired by her. I made my own Bookopoly board with a bit more children's stuff on there as well. That is what I used for my TBR, and I rolled 6 times, but I got 2 doubles, so I ended up with 8 rolls, and so I had 8 books to read. The first book that I read in May needs absolutely no introduction. May was both a great and terrible time to be a fan of this series, and that is A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. So this is my role to read an epic fantasy on my Bookopoly. The TV show did end a couple of weeks back now, and I'm not going to get into my feelings on that at the minute, but I did manage to read A Game of Thrones for the first ever time this month, and I am so super glad I did, because I gave this 5 stars. This was a phenomenal book. I loved the writing style. I loved getting an insight into everybody's minds. I don't think I need to tell you guys what this is about, but it is set in Westeros, and there are many different political upheavals going on. There are a lot... Ooh, somebody's commented on one of my YouTube videos. Ooh. Okay, that's fine. and it's just filled with a very colourful cast of characters, people you root for, people you want to die. It's such a great series. I've been intimidated by this for such a long time, but because of the Song of Ice and Fire readathon happening, I am a bit late joining that. But because of that, it's really pushed me to start the series now. It was a perfect time to start as well with the show ending. So yeah, I gave this one 5 stars. It was great, a fantastic start to May. But unfortunately, the book that I read next was one that I really did not enjoy, and I am so sorry about that, because it's been getting really good ratings on Goodreads, and a few people actually in the comments have mentioned that they really enjoy this book, and I'm so sorry. I don't mean to offend anybody, but the next book I read was The Flat Chair by Beth O'Leary. This was my role to read a general fiction book, and I really did not like this book. I gave it a 2 stars. I was going to DNF it, but it's such a quick, easy read that I thought, you know, I may as well finish what I've started. But I really didn't like this one. It's just briefly, I mean, I love the idea of it. It's about Tiffy and Leon. Tiffy, she's just broken up with her boyfriend, and she needs to find a new place to live, and she responds to this ad by Leon, who is a nurse, and he has the flat during the day because he works night shifts at the hospital, and Tiffy will have the flat on the nights because she works during the day. So they never like really get to meet in the beginning. No spoilers here or anything like that, but they, well, I mean, it's not really a spoiler, but they do meet eventually. This is like a bog standard kind of, you know, contemporary romance, and I just don't think I'm into that much. I mean, I didn't realize that I wouldn't be until I read this book. Like, I was a bit, God, I could rant about this, to be honest. I had so many thoughts on this when I first like finished it as well, but I wasn't a big fan of the writing style. So Tiffy's chapters are in a, you know, your standard first person narrative, but then Leon's chapters go into a different sort of writing style. It's kind of, I think it's, he speaks more like list like, so he'll say, I said this, I felt that, I did this, I did that, and it was just it just, I didn't really get into that. I know some people enjoyed that kind of thing, especially because it helped differentiate between the characters, which, yeah, it does, but I didn't really feel that. I felt the story was very subpar. I mean, it started out really well with the whole sort of flat share thing and how they would leave notes for each other. That was really cute. I thought Tiffy was a bit too full on, too quickly. She has this really, like, important story of her ex-boyfriend being emotionally manipulative. I didn't think it was handled that well in here. I really don't think it was handled that well. She would be scared of him, but the ex-boyfriend himself was a caricature of a, you know, a typical white male arsehole that lives in England. You know, it's just like, the way, there's just no there's no definition to it. Like, there's no definition to this at all. I am so sorry, because I know a lot of people really enjoy this one, and I think if contemporary romance is your thing, then yes, go for it. Like, I just couldn't really get away with Tiffy as a character. I feel like the author tried too hard to make her relatable, to make her seem this, you know, really, you know, relatable all girls girl kind of person, if that's what it is. But if she mentioned Leon's lopsided smile one more time, I was gonna torch the fucker. But yeah, I gave it 2 stars. It's not that bad. But I do feel like this is probably just something more for the contemporary romance people, and I'm just not one of those, apparently. But I did want to get this one because it's got nice red sprayed edges and it's signed, so I'm still glad I've got it. It's, you know, it's still going to live in my collection for a while, and then we'll see what happens. But yeah, unfortunately I went from a 5-star straight to a 2-star. I'm sorry. Not all hope is lost, because I went from a 2-star read all the way back to a 5-star read. I almost hit myself in the face there. And that is with Malamander by Thomas Taylor. This was my role to read a children's book. This is the children's book of the month of May, and with me being the children's bookseller in Waterstones, I always read them, and I try and, like, you know, make my own opinions about them so that I can sell them better in store. And fortunately I loved Malamander and I gave it 5 stars. Thomas Taylor did a fantastic job. I believe this is his debut. Fun fact as well, Thomas Taylor actually illustrated the original Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone cover. This is Thomas Taylor's illustration. He did this. This iconic image, he drew this. He is just phenomenal. And fun little fact for you, don't tell me I don't teach you anything. I sell this every single day to people. I recommend it all the time, and for some reason I just can't seem to give you a description on this right now. Okay, so I'm going to try again. It's set in Erie-on-Sea, and it's like a seaside village. We have the legend of the Malamander, who is a bit like a Loch Ness Monster kind of creature, or at least like in that sort of sense where it's like mythological, you don't know if it's real or not. So, the main character, Herbert Lemon, he works as a lost and finder at the Seaside Hotel, and what that is that he reunites lost objects with their owners. And one day, this girl called Violet Palmer, she crashes into the hotel, and she asks for Herbert Lemon's help trying to find her parents. So this was a very whimsical seaside kind of adventure, and I was living for it. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. There were some genuinely really like funny moments in this as well. There are a lot of really great moments in this that I'm sure you will enjoy. And oh gosh, I love this one a lot. Like, Waterstones picked a really good one for being the children's book of the month. I seriously recommend this one. Not just for that beautiful side sprayed edge, but also just because it's just a fantastic middle grade children's book read. So if you enjoy things like that, if you enjoy things like Nevermore, or sort of like A Pinch of Magic, if you've read that, it's kind of on the same sort of whimsical, kind of adventure-y book. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. 5 stars, man. Then after Malamander, I was still feeling in the sort of children's literature mood, so I read The Miserable Mill by Lemony Snicket, the 4th book in the series of Unfortunate Events series. This was not a part of my Bookopoly, so this was just thrown in there because I thought, why not? I'm trying to read through all of these this year. So Miserable Mill, it's very short, it was very quick to get through, and I ended up giving this one 3 stars. So it was kind of like a mixed one for me. I didn't think I would enjoy it that much anyway, and The Miserable Mill was never, I don't think it's anybody's favourite series of Unfortunate Events book. It is shorter than the last one. It's probably the shortest in the series. I'm not too sure. Might be shorter than the first. I don't know. But yeah, this series is about 3 orphans who lose their parents in a fire. Violet, Klaus, and Sonny Baudelaire. And whether or not, even though I gave this 3 stars, I still had a bloody good time reading it. Their new guardians own a mill, and they end up having to work there, which is very awful because they're just children. But yeah, we meet some new characters, and like, I cannot believe, but like, one of the characters dies a horrible, horrible death. And it's just like, this isn't a children's book, you know what I mean? But if you've seen the series, you'll know what I'm talking about. But like, wow, it's just like, I read up to the 5th book, I think it was, the 5th or the 6th book, when I was younger, and I never went past there. So I'd read this before, but I totally forgot it actually like happened the way it did in the book as well. It's rather horrifying. But yeah, I just threw this one in just randomly because I just wanted another quick, easy read. And yeah, I read The Miserable Mill. After The Miserable Mill, it was the start of Bingo-a-thon, and I wanted to read the group book for that, but I didn't have that on my Bookopoly rolls at all. So I ended up throwing in Once and Future by Amy Rose Capetta and Corey McCarthy. This is an Own Voices book. It is a gender-bent retelling of King Arthur, science fiction set in space kind of thing. And I enjoyed the story. I liked the characters somewhat. I did end up giving this one 3 stars. It wasn't really, I think there was like too much going on. Like these ideas were rather grand, and sometimes it didn't really pull it off that well. I did enjoy a lot of the LGBT moments in this one, as I always do, and I loved the fact that a lot of these characters were so diverse. That is one of the things that this book, I think, personally did well. And it was the group read for Bingo-a-thon, so I definitely needed to read this one. I went through it pretty quickly to begin with, and then I think by the middle I started to slow down a bit, and I kind of started losing interest as well. There is a sequel coming out. I probably won't read it. I don't know. It depends. So we are on the 42nd reincarnation of King Arthur. At least I think it's the 42nd. Maybe the 44th. I know it's in the 40s somewhere. And it's the first time that Arthur's a woman. And Merlin, he is aging backwards as this happens. So he is a fit man. He is a fit man now. And there is just a little bit of a wink wink nudge nudge action with another guy in this. But yeah, it just wasn't, it didn't really float my boat that much. So I ended up giving it a middle of the road 3 stars. Wasn't the worst read of the month. Unfortunately, that was The Flat Share, which a lot of people loved. I'm sorry. But yeah, this one probably second least favourite. And then I had another 5-star read after that. I'm just like this with the 5 stars this month, apparently. Last month, in April, I only gave out 2 5 stars, I believe. This month, just have him. Have him. But the next book that I read, and this was for Bingo-a-thon as well, but I had already rolled it because it was my LGBTQ plus roll, and that was Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Elias Lyons. And I gave this a 5-star. I loved it. I read this in one day. I sat on the bed, opened up the book, and I did not, Well, I did move to like go for a wait and like have something to eat and, you know, to make like 5 coffees. But I didn't really move that much until I finished the entire thing. It's such an easy, quick read, but there are some gorgeous moments in this one. It's about 2 boys and they randomly meet, they become pretty good friends. An incident happens and these boys just get so much closer, but at the same time they're confused, they're sort of things happen. It's just like so hard to explain this book, really. Like, it's hard to explain any book with me. But then one of them moves away and they have this time apart where they sort of need to sort of sort through their feelings about one another. It's such a good book. Oh, I loved it. It's like, I would have just given it 5 stars just for it being such a great, like, quick read, really. I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this so much. I was a bit worried for a moment that the romance wouldn't go the way I wanted it to. And I'm not saying that it goes the way that you would expect it to, because, I don't know, it throws a few curveballs in the way to get to a certain point. But it was just a good read, and I really enjoyed it. And somebody at work, this is one of his favourite books of all time. So I don't know, I was kind of pushing it away a bit because I didn't want to read it in case I didn't like it. But it's okay because I did. I really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed it a lot. And the last book I read for Bingo-a-thon, and it was my science fiction role on Bookopoly, was Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. And this, if you don't count Once and Future as my first science fiction read, this would be my first proper science fiction read. I gave this one a 5-star as well. Way! I just love this one. I really enjoyed I enjoy the movie. I really enjoy the movie. I went to the cinema last year to see it, and I've watched it a couple of times on Blu-ray now, and I read this for the first time and I freaking loved it. It is set in the near future. It revolves around a main character who uses the Oasis, which is this kind of huge virtual reality game kind of world thing, and it's created by James Halliday. And in this world there's a lot of 80s nostalgia, and James Halliday has passed away. He has left an Easter egg to kind of pass on his legacy. So everybody's like fighting for this amazing opportunity, and it's just, oh god, it's so good. There's like so many, like, if you're a gamer, I feel like you would love this. If even, like, I'm not that familiar with the 80s, I'm more of a 90s kid, so I still got a lot of the references in here. I still had a bloody good time. At the same time, I definitely prefer the book over the movie now, because there is a lot more challenge to the tasks that they have to do. It felt a lot more relevant to James Halliday and his sort of love for 80s gaming and pop culture, and I just felt this was just fantastic. Like, I really enjoyed this. If you don't read science fiction that often, don't worry, neither do I. I would definitely still recommend reading Ready Player One. It was like my first proper science fiction book, and I just freaking loved it. If you don't count the Lunar Chronicles as well. But yeah, I enjoyed a lot. And also I was inhaling the Oasis candle from Grey's and Honey, so that would just set the mood amazingly as well. I just loved it. So now going back to like normal reading, on my Bookopoly I ended on the retelling square, and I chose Dorothy Must Die by Danielle Page for this one. I gave it a 3 stars. I wasn't that taken with this, even though I am in love with the world of Oz. The Wizard of Oz is one of my favourite movies and books. Because I have so much love for the originals, this was going to have a very hard time convincing me that Dorothy is fucked up. As well as the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, the Lion, all of them are now suddenly evil, and I would have enjoyed this more if I believed that they had this natural progression into evilldom. And I just didn't feel that. I didn't think we got that great of a backstory to explain why Dorothy is so bloodthirsty. Like, why the Tin Man can kill people, why the Lion would savagely rip people apart and tear their arms off and stuff like that. Like, I have Judy Garland in my head saying, no, she wouldn't do that. She would not have acted that out. Dorothy would not have done anything in this book. But aside from the fact that I couldn't really relate or believe that this would have happened, I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the main character, Amy Gum. She has a story similar to Dorothy. She lives in Kansas, and she is considered trailer trash. And she is swept up by a tornado and dropped into Oz, where she finds it devoid of colour. She asks around, and everybody says that Dorothy is really messed up Oz. And Amy Gum is recruited by the more wicked witches to take down Dorothy and the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, the Lion, and that part is good. Like, I do enjoy the story. I just needed to believe it more. Like, that's my only gripe with this. Some of the writing did seem a bit juvenile as well. A lot of the descriptions, I don't think she knew exactly what she wanted to go for, so she would describe something as two opposing things. So I give this one 3 stars. I'm so sorry, Danielle Page. I love you. You are amazing on like social media. I love you. But yeah, I think I'll probably enjoy the rest more now that I've gotten the first one out of the way, and I can sort of feel this established world on its own, maybe? I don't know. And then I had to read an adapted book, so for that one I chose Aladdin by Elizabeth Rudnick. I gave this one 3 stars. It is a novelisation of the 2019 movie that just came out. I love the movie. I thought it was really fun. I thought it was really magical and whimsical, and I just really adored it. I love the songs. Like, Aladdin is one of my favourite animated movies. So one of my favourite Disney animated movies as well. So the live action had a lot to live up to, and I believe that it did. I felt very invested. I felt very taken away by this version of Agrabah and Aladdin and Jasmine. I mentioned more of my thoughts about the movie on my weekly reading vlog number 2. If you want to check that out, I will do a little card thingamabobby. This, as a novelisation, was alright. It had a lot more depth to some of the backstories that we don't really get to see much of in the movie, so that was a highlight of this. But again, it was very basic. It is just a novelisation, but I do quite enjoy novelisations. I love TV novelisations as well. Like, I have all the Charm books behind me there. Yeah, I love them. I used to really enjoy reading the Buffy ones, and yeah, it's not that I have anything against novelizations, but this one is just basic, really. So I give it another 3 stars. When I was reading this, I would stop reading when I'd get to a musical moment from the movie, and then I would put my Spotify on, put in my headphones, and listen to the song that was supposed to come on. And I loved doing that. It just made it feel so much more interactive and so much more fun. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. It was really good. So the last roll I did on the Bookopoly board was for horror, and I kept this one as the last book to read in me as well. So I ended up reading Geralds Game by Stephen King, and as I mentioned on one of my vlogs, I love the movie. I finished reading this. I gave it 4 stars. It almost got a 5 for me, but I gave Misery and Pet Sematary 5s, and this one just comes in a little bit below them because as much as I absolutely love this book, it is fantastic. A lot of it does drag on a bit because it is about a woman who is tied to the bed. Her name is Jessie, and she is supposed to be having some sexy times with her husband, but she doesn't really want to do it. But she's tied to the bed, and then as she's already tied up with these handcuffs, Gerald, who is her husband, he dies of a heart attack, and she is still bedbound by these cuffs, and it's like a really scary situation, and it is like a great story. I didn't think it would be, especially with like the length of it. A lot of it does drag, I'm not gonna lie, but Stephen King, and only Stephen King, can make trying to get a glass of water interesting for 2 whole chapters. Like, wow, that's incredible. But there are so many chilling moments in this. Like, I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but something happens. Like, I remember the page number as well. It's page 152. Something really chilling happens, and you just like, my heart just stopped, and it was like, I expected it because it happens in the movie as well, but it's just the way Stephen King writes. He can write something so mundane and make it interesting, but then he would take that and just raise it to 1,000, but he'd make it so natural, and it was just like, it's so great. It is a really good book. I did want to give it a 5-star, I really did, because I feel like he tackles a lot of very serious issues very well in this book, such as sexual abuse and things like that. So it was almost a 5 for me, but I know I was like giving all the 5s out earlier on, but for Stephen King, I had books that I prefer more than this one so far. So I gave it a 4-star. It would be a 4.5 if Goodreads like allowed that, but they don't. But I'm just gonna say it straightforward, like I do for everything, and give it the rounded number. But I would really recommend at least reading this once. It is so good, but not my favorite Stephen King yet. Not yet. That was the 10 books that I read in May, but I did manage to get halfway through A Clash of Kings by George R. R. Martin. I really wanted to get this done by the end of May because I have so much to read in June. But unfortunately, I've only managed to get 403 pages into this. Yeah, I didn't manage to finish it, and I'm so upset.
Disgusting!
But I've had quite a few days, like, I've been rather busy. It's been nice to, like, not really read today as well, so yeah, I only managed to get halfway through, so that's still only 10 books read this month. It was almost 11. So close, and yet so far. But I'm going to have to carry this over into June now, and I really didn't want to do that, because that means 16 books in June. But it's still pretty good. But I am kind of enjoying it so far. It's not been as good as Game of Thrones, the first book. There's been a lot of war talk in this, and a lot of like battle strategy, and sort of like just a lot of grown men talking about grown ass shit, and it hasn't really like captivated my imagination as much as the first one did. I can't really remember what happened in season 2 of Game of Thrones now. It's been a long time since I watched that season. I never found season 2 to be that memorable, apart from episode 9, and a few little things here and then. A lot of it's coming back to me as I'm reading it as well, but it still hasn't been a very memorable book. It wasn't a memorable season for me, so I'm just really wanting to get this done, but I'm gonna have to carry it over now, and I'm so sad about that. So yeah, almost 11 books read in May, but not. Yeah, those were the books I read in May, so I finished with 10 books, and I gave them an average of 3.8 stars out of 5, which isn't too bad. I read 4,119 pages throughout the entire of May, which is phenomenal. That is the highest I've read in a month. I know I read more books in April, but they were shorter. This month I read a couple of longer books, so that got me all the way to 4,119. And that was an average of 165 pages read per day. And that is pretty awesome if you ask me. It just shows you I have no life besides working. Working real hard now. It was good because I only gave one book 2-star, and unfortunately I finished reading that on my birthday, so it was a bit of a shitty birthday present to me, to be honest. But I did give 4 books 5 stars, and that is just great for me. I don't usually give out 5 stars that often, and it was almost 5 books with 5 stars, but I was being really picky by the end there, I guess. But I think it was a really successful, fabulous month. And I am really, really worried about June now, because I've got like over 5,000 pages I need to read. I only managed 4,119 this month. I did have a week off at the start of the month as well. It was my birthday, and I don't know what's going to happen next month. I really don't, so I'm a little bit worried. I'm a bit concerned. So subscribe and stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you guys so much, more than you'll ever know. But I am just so happy that you've chosen to join me on my reading journey. And I am just, thank you so much. I am honestly so grateful. So I will catch you later. Make sure you leave a little like. Comment down below if you've read any of these. If you've read The Flat Share, I am sorry. I apologise in advance. Talk to me about why you liked it. I'm sure there are so many things that went over my head. But yeah, let me know if you agree, disagree, just everything. I love talking with you guys. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. And I will see you later. Bye.